Good afternoon, everybody. As you know, I'm Brian Miller, and this is our guest speaker, Andrew Murphy from Stone King's training department, who's come all the way from Bath to be with us today. Morning. Afternoon. Afternoon. We'd like to talk to you today about LinkedIn and why it is a necessity as an everyday marketing tool. In the old days, we used to look at getting leads by maybe sending out a flyer or a brochure, or perhaps attending networking drinks. Even when we did so, we could never be sure that the persons we were going to communicate with were qualified leads, unless we had some information in advance. Today we have LinkedIn, the world's largest online network of business people. In a moment, Andy will show you how to set up your LinkedIn account and profile. Most people just type their job description, import their contacts and friends, and then leave it there. But there is much more to it than that, and it is important to use LinkedIn and its tools in a certain way in order to get the most out of it. This will help you grow your base of connections and hopefully lead to referrals and new work. So why use LinkedIn to network? LinkedIn will allow you to do all of the old school forms of marketing, such as mail shotting, attending networking drinks, cold calling and so forth in the comfort of your own office and without ever having to leave your desk. LinkedIn has over 225 million members in more than 200 countries. It is the best social media tool for business people by a mile. You will have heard a lot about Facebook and Twitter, but what LinkedIn does most effectively is allow you to find people as well as corporate pages and ascertain whether you really want to connect with the target in question. It provides oodles of detail about each person through his or her profile, as opposed to, for instance, a 140-character description in Twitter, and allows you to work out who the key decision makers are and to make an informed decision about whether you want to connect with them. So what am I looking to achieve with LinkedIn? Well, there are many useful things you can do with it. First, you should aim to grow your relationships with your existing clients and contacts by keeping in touch with them regularly, sending them the occasional update, e.g. posting to an article on your blog and letting them know about it, and inviting them to firm events. Secondly, you should aim to connect with new persons who look like potential clients, but only once you have checked their profile out, satisfied yourself that they are qualified leads, and followed certain house rules, which I will mention later. Thirdly, you should be using LinkedIn to get referrals by keeping friendly with your competitors and other professionals, e.g. accountants, who may either not have the expertise to carry out a piece of work which is in your chosen field, or may be conflicted from doing so. And if none of that works for you, you can always use LinkedIn to find a new job. It's the best tool bar none for that. So how do I find the right targets on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is really all about reverse engineering your networking. The basic principles, and I'll go into the mechanics of this later on, are as follows. First, you need to identify the type of business or organisation you want to meet, e.g. charity trustees. Then you find the organisations they work for, but using LinkedIn's sophisticated search tools to do so. From there, you will find individuals in those companies or organisations meeting those criteria. You can then connect and communicate with them using one or more of the methods I will describe later. Over time, this should lead to valuable leads and hopefully work. Social networking is not a passive process, it's all about interaction, just like networking. So in order to achieve your goals, you need to communicate with people effectively by doing the following. Be responsive and proactive. Reply to people promptly if they write to you via LinkedIn. Send out invitations to connect on a regular basis. Use LinkedIn groups, one of the areas you thought was probably a waste of time, which are the best way to build relationships with potential clients. More about that later. You can also create products from your expertise so you can offer these to your connections or, more importantly, group members. Keep tabs on new and suitable prospects joining LinkedIn for the first time by setting up alerts to notify you when they do so. Again, I'll come on to that later. I'd now like to hand you over to Andy to take you through how to set up your LinkedIn profile.
Thank you, Brian. I just need to click to maximize it. Thanks again. As Brian's introduction said, LinkedIn is absolutely massive, and so it really is important that we know how to use our profiles successfully, both being proactive, but also what I'm going to cover is how you can be found. Whilst you're being proactive, other users are already searching for you, but may not be able to find you on LinkedIn, or there may be somebody else who does the same work, who's just top of the list in search results. So what I'm going to talk to you about is how we can use our profiles to go ahead and stand out on LinkedIn. Now, when I say stand out, I don't mean in a bad way, by putting a garish photo, a professional header that says free legal advice, anything like that. We want to keep it professional to your job, and we want to keep it within the Stone King branding, so maintaining a brand throughout all of our profiles, whoever we are on LinkedIn. So to stand out, we need to be found. So we're going to talk a little bit about our profiles and how we can manipulate LinkedIn searches to make sure that we're always top of the list when somebody carries out a search on LinkedIn. And Brian's going to talk to you in detail about how people can search on LinkedIn now and the amazing options there are to really find a specific target. When we're found, we need to be better. We need to be better than the person above us in the search results. We need to be better than the person below us. So we want them to click on our profile, which in turn can get us more traffic to the firm page on LinkedIn, more traffic to our website, the Stone King website, and more connections, which ultimately will lead to more work. Are you all set up on LinkedIn already? You are, brilliant. If you're not, I've got a guide, or if you want to have a look at the guide, I've got one I can send to you, and it's a PDF, and I'll send that to the others who haven't made it today. But all the changes we're going to be making are in our profile. So all you need to do is go to your profile, click on Edit Profile, and you will then be taken to the Edit Profile screen. And basically, I'll show you on the big screen, that anything that's blue with a pencil icon, don't worry about it, the camera icon, all the way down, you can click on to make changes to your profile. So what I'm going to talk about in the profile, it's quite a lot to cover, and there's many sections of your profile. So I'm going to focus on the main parts of your profile to get right, and I can always give you some more help with any other sections if you need it in the future. The first part is the professional headline. And this is almost like your online business card. Wherever your name appears on LinkedIn, if somebody hovers their mouse over your name, this will show. And what it shows is your photo, your name, what you do, and a few details like your current employers and your location. The first part is the photo. We have to get the photo on there. People are more likely to click on you if you have a photo. But we want to make it recent, within the last 2 years certainly, and also keep it professional. Like I said before, no garish pictures of you out at a rave or a nightclub, just a nice professional picture. And I'm sure if you contact Charlotte in marketing, she'll be able to send you a copy of your picture that they've used for the internet, which is nice, clean, and professional. Probably the most important part to get right on your profile is the professional headline. Now, this is the job description, basically, what you do. As Brian pointed out, most people will have something along the lines of solicitor or partner. That's fine. It says what your role is, but it doesn't say what you can do. And what we need to do when we're in a list of search results is grab the attention of the visitor to say, this is what we can do for you. So there's a couple of things we need to look at here. Now you'll see mine, it's got lines breaking it down. That's just one method, or you can use a descriptive method. But either way, we want to think about what our potential clients are searching for when they go on LinkedIn, and use those keywords to put in our professional headline. So mine's slightly different to yours. I'm in more of an operational role, but what you'll want to get into your professional headline certainly is that you cover charity law and the certain areas of charity law that you specialise in, so people can instantly see when they hover over your name that you do the area of work they need. So they're more likely to click on you and view your profile. The other part, which is equally important, is when people search outside of LinkedIn. I'm sure you've all searched on Google. I do it every day. And when you search on Google, it uses a URL, and you might be able to just see it around here. but there is a URL which is a unique reference link that LinkedIn gives you when you join. By default, it's just a bunch of numbers that mean absolutely nothing to you. And what you can do is when you're in the edit profile mode, there's a little blue edit icon just below the URL, and you can click on that and you can create your own. It always has the uk.linkedin.com/in/, and then you can choose. Now there's two kind of approaches here. Some people, and I've done it, is I've used my name. So if I meet someone, I can say, look me up on LinkedIn, just Google Andrew James Murphy in LinkedIn. And what happens there is I'm top out of 29,000 results just by changing my URL. So if they search for Andrew James Murphy in LinkedIn, I'm before anyone else. And that alone, when a client's looking for you, it just seems impressive, it seems cool. Another option, and I think Brian's actually adopted this approach, which is really, really sensible, is again to use keywords that describe what you do. So you'll have some people say charity law, charity solicitor. So when people are Googling for a charity solicitor, the LinkedIn profiles automatically in Google search engines appear quite high at the top, or certainly on the first page. So it's worth thinking about whether you're more likely to be found by your name or by what you do. Don't worry though, I know it's a bit of a panic what other people can see about you on Google, but you can actually choose what they're allowed to see. Some people are going to be wary about having their photo out there in the World Wide Web. I would say it's important to leave your photo on there, certainly what you do, your current job and your contact details. So it'll be a little snippet, just like that almost business card that we saw earlier, so people can see all the information they need in one, and then they can click on it to go and view your full profile. Going to look at the summary next. Now, in LinkedIn, when you're in edit mode, you've got the background just below your profile, but you can swap that around with summary depending on which one's going to be more important to you to have first. Most people will have their background and job experience next, because people looking on LinkedIn are normally wanting to see what you do for a living. But the summary, I actually think, is a really important part of your profile. It gives you 2,000 characters to type, probably even more than that now, so you can type exactly what you want. Now, I would think of it as an introduction to who you are, a bit like at a networking event. So don't repeat things that are already in your LinkedIn profile. You don't talk in the third person. That can be a bit off-putting when you're reading someone's profile and Andrew is this and Andrew is that. It doesn't sound very welcoming. And more importantly, make it inviting and tell a story. So welcome the people in, make them feel like they're able to connect with you, even if they don't know you. And that brings me on to adding your contact details to the summary. By default, on your headline, where you've got your name and your photo, there's a little button that says contact information. And that tends to be quite hidden, and you don't always often notice it at first. So the summary is quite bold on your profile. So I would always add your contact information there, your work email and the reception's phone number, so people can ring up and make inquiries. They may not want to connect. They may think, oh, I don't need to connect with them, but I still want their help. So put your contact information out there so people can readily get a hold of it and send you some work. Now I'm going to look at the background. And you'll notice a kind of theme here with keywords. If you don't remember anything else from today, just remember keywords. Because your job title on your current role works exactly the same as your professional headline. Now there's a number of areas to LinkedIn where keywords are important. Your professional headline, your current role, and your summary. The more time the keyword that is searched by comes up in your profile, the higher up in the search results you are. Now you'll find some people that will just copy and paste the word 1,000 times, so they're always at the top, but obviously that will lose its impact and it's not professional and no one's going to come to you for work. But you want to make sure you put it in there a few times. Put the keywords of what you can do in your professional headline and your background and experience and your summary, and you're usually going to come certainly on the first page. And how many times do you scroll past the first page? Very rarely. It may also be worth putting in your geographical coverage, because someone from maybe Manchester might think, oh well, they're London, Bath, they're probably not going to help me. But if you do cover those areas, put it down. It reassures people that you're big, we're a big firm, and that we're going to be well respected in our industry. The other important part is when you add your current role, it asks you who your current employer is, and you can type it in and it comes up. It does a search on LinkedIn to see if they already exist and have a firm page. Make sure you click on Stone King. What that does is it puts a little logo to the right hand side, and that allows visitors to our page to click on that logo and go to the firm page where there is an inquiries form, so they can send us inquiries which will go to Charlotte, who's the administrator. But also it's got links to our website as well, so they can go onto our website, learn more about what we do. Again, it's important to make your job description readable. People don't like reading large bulks of text when they're doing a quick search on the internet. So a couple of tips would be to put your key areas of work, your specialities, in bullet points, so they can run their eyes through the list, notice that you do exactly what they want, and that's it, nice and easy. But I would also put a short paragraph about Stone King and what we do and our website. So if someone's come across your profile but you don't cover the area of work they do, they can see from the short paragraph that Stone King will certainly be able to help, even if it's not you personally. Again, the key words, it's just so important that the more times that word pops up in your account, the higher up you are in the list. So again, keep putting it in the job description as well as the job title, but don't repeat it too much. Now, skills are relatively new. Has anyone on LinkedIn come across them yet? They are relatively new, and one big thing about skills is that you can now search by skills on LinkedIn. So again, like keywords, someone can search for specific skills. And they actually have quite a lot of weight attached to them on LinkedIn internal searches. Now, you can have, I think, up to 50 skills, and you need a minimum of 5 now to get a 100% complete profile. But people will endorse your skills. They're not quite recommendations, but it is adding to your credibility in that area of work or for that skill. And the more endorsements for the skill you have that's searched by, the higher again you will come up in the search results. So if you've got 50 endorsements for legal advice and the other person below you has got 10, you're higher than them. If the other people in the field have got 60, they're going to be higher than you. So it's important that we all endorse each other. No, you can't invite them to endorse you. You can with recommendations, which Brian will go through later on. But when you log onto your profile on LinkedIn, at the top there's it's a bit annoying, but it's worth just taking a look at. It's a blue box and it has 4 of your connections and says, it gives each person a skill and says, do they have this skill? Click endorse. So it's worth, it takes you 30 seconds, and if you know they've got that skill, click endorse. They're more likely to endorse you when you pop up if you've done it to them. So it's definitely worth just taking 1 minute to look at that box before you click on the cross and get rid of it. Yes, yeah. Don't endorse anyone just because they work at Stone King. Endorse them if you know they've got that skill. But it's not that naff, because we're a brand, Stone King's a brand, and we're all professionals, and we all do have those skills. Well, no, but I mean, if you speak to one of your other connections who isn't from Stone King, you can ask them to endorse you if you're comfortable with that. That's probably something better for recommendations, which again Brian will go through. So don't go click happy and endorse everyone at Stone King just because they pop up. But if you feel they do have a specialist skill that is worth endorsing, that's going to help them come up higher in search results, then please do.
Can I just ask you, Andy? I mean, I'm getting people endorsing me for wills and probate and employment law, and I know that I don't have to. If I say yes, I want to add that to my profile, it will show up on that list of endorsements. Question: do I really want to?
No.
No.
You get the option to choose when someone's endorsed you whether you want to add it to your profile. So be selective, because what happens is that blue pop-up box, LinkedIn looks at the kind of connections you have, the kind of skills they have, and just pops up suggestions. So if you ignore that part of the profile where it pops up, but you want to endorse other people for a special skill that they have, you can go onto their profile And right over here, you can click on the skills to endorse them as well. So when you're looking at someone's profile, you can endorse them. The same with your connections who aren't Stone King. If you endorse them, they're more likely to endorse you. So do feel free to go and check out some of your valued connections profiles, endorse them for skills, and hopefully in return they'll come and endorse you for some of your skills.
Also, I think if you're trying to give the impression of it as a specialist, you don't then want to water it down with areas that you're not an expert in.
Yes.
Okay.
Your education. Now, some people don't put their education on, but I do think it's worthwhile putting your education on because, number one, it just reinforces your qualifications and skills. But also, a lot of people have a strong affiliation with their alumni and they're more likely to connect. Statistically, it does say that if you're from the same university, they probably are more likely to connect with you. And there's another section for additional info. Now, one thing I would advise putting here is some advice for contacting yourself. You never know where your next connection is going to come from. And of course, like Brian said earlier, do go and check out their profile first. But if you had a short paragraph here just confirming that you're willing for people to contact you, but of course do say why. There's something called a lion, and you may have seen in some people's profiles their name, brackets LION, which just means a LinkedIn open network, and they will connect with absolutely anyone of no relevance to their business. That's what they do. Now, some of them are actually handy to have because they've got masses of connections. So if they like or share an update you've done, it goes to a wider serve. So by all means, if you see someone with a lion next to their name, it might be worth having one or two of them on your connections list, but certainly not everyone. But if you say to people, I am willing to connect, do feel free to contact me, but please do say why. If you want to connect with like-minded people or industry experts, or if you were looking for some professional services, then do drop me a line at this email address or call me on this telephone number. It's just reassuring people that don't know you as a person that you're willing to help them. There are many other sections, and when you log into your profile and you go into the edit mode, on the right hand side of the screen will be a list of recommended sections for you to complete. Now, things like languages, it's obvious if you have extra languages, put them on there because that can help gain more work over people who don't speak the client's language. But one thing I wanted to focus on was the project section. Now, you can use this in many different ways. Of course, you can add it to show projects that you've done during your career. So your potential clients looking at your site can see what actual work you can do, and that is just what they're looking for. And we'll come on to rich media in a minute, which is relatively new, but it helps you visually show potential clients what you've done as well. But some other examples, you can use projects to show stepping stones in your career, to show your expertise, but I really like the idea of using them to promote products or services or special events. So if you're holding a seminar to external people, why not add it as a project? You can then add leaflets to it, and you can share that project on your status updates, and all of your followers will see it, and hopefully we'll get more people coming to these events. Once you've made some changes to your profile, you can check it's working. Now, LinkedIn has some quick insights. Now, I'm on the free account, so I don't get a great deal of insight, but you'll probably see in some of Brian's slides later that he's got a premium account, which gives you more insight. Now, you can see here that it tells you how many times your profile has been viewed. On the free account, it's in the last 30 days, and it also tells you how many times you've shown up in any LinkedIn searches in the past 15 days. But you do get a full list if you upgrade to a paid account. But it's just a nice way to check that everything is working. Yes, you can always see who's looking at you. You can actually change the settings. So the user who's looking at profiles can either say that they want their full details shown, or 1 in 10 people. So if I looked at your profile, let's say 1 out of 10 people at Stone King, and it will find 10 Stone King people and say one of these have looked at your profile, or you can have it anonymous. No.
If it's premium?
If it's premium, you get a full list of who's looked at you. If it's a free account, you get the last 5 people that's looked at you.
It doesn't generally, no, as far as I'm aware. No. Because it's quite a lot of money a month. It's about $15 plus. Well, I doubt if VAT is applicable, but it's so if you multiply that across, however many fingers, it's a huge amount of money. So I don't think. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I wasn't going to mention about packages, but frankly, anyone who uses LinkedIn a lot normally will say don't bother paying the money because there's minimal extra functionality. That's one example who's been looking at your profile. The other is you get a few extra fields when doing advanced searches, so you might be able to add, senior people and other fields like that, which I think if you had a big project where you were trying to do a database exercise and you wanted to mine LinkedIn for useful people, probably go to the marketing department, say we need to use LinkedIn Premium to find these extra fields to find them, and they could help with that, or use their account. I don't know if they've got a premium account, but if they haven't, they probably should have that.
One of the other benefits you do get is a certain amount of what they call in messages. As a free account, you can only message someone you're connected to through LinkedIn. It's like their own email service. If you've got a premium account, you get, I think, 10 a month, I think it is, that you can send messages to. Which is why I've said to put on your contact information, so people don't need to use the in-message. If they haven't got a premium account, they can just email you directly. It's much quicker. You get the notification at your desk as you're working without having to log in, and you can reply straight from there. But one of the coolest new features in LinkedIn is rich media. And what it allows you to do is add photos, videos, presentations, and documents. And you can add it to your summary, you can add it to your job description and background, or you can add it to projects and even more. You'll probably know John Brownrigg's got an ebook out, and when that came out, he added it as a publication, and you could actually add a link to the website which showed a thumbnail of the book, so it was nice and visual, and then took you to the website so people could download it and buy it. But if you're talking about your projects, and if you're using that as an event or service, you can get the leaflet that marketing produce for that event, and you can add it to that project so people get a nice visual representation, and they can even look at the PDF to see more detail about what that event entails. You can add SlideShare. If you've got a SlideShare account where you keep your presentations online, you can add a SlideShare. You can add a Prezi, which is this style of presentation, but you can add document files as well. So it's really, really quite useful. And when you add a website, all you need to do is click in the website address. So if you go to the website, you can copy and paste it in your search bar and then paste it here. And what it does is it doesn't just put a link, it actually puts a thumbnail of the website, so what it looks like. So again, it's more visual and more likely for people to click on it to have a look. If you want to add a document, you just click on the upload file button to the right of where you're typing the website. One thing, if you're going to remember anything, again, is don't blend in. Use your keywords. Think about what clients may search for when they're searching for somebody who does your kind of work. So use those keywords, put them into your headlines and your descriptions and your summaries, and you're more likely to come at the top of search results. That's my part done. We've just looked at the profile and the different sections. You can help to optimize it to make sure you stand out more than your competitors. And I'll pass you back to Brian, who's going to have a look at loads of proactive things you can do to go out and target and find some new business leads. Sorry? I don't know.
On your birthday.
It's free.
Yeah. It is good. Right. Connections and creating them. Once you've properly set up your profile, you'll be looking to create as many useful connections or networking partners on LinkedIn as possible. In order to create connections with other users, start by using the Contacts Upload tool. This will allow you to import all of your contacts into LinkedIn and then allow LinkedIn to point out connections to you. If you're going to do this, make sure you have culled all private information from your contacts, e.g. passwords, bank account numbers, and so forth. Use the current and past colleagues feature. This, as it says, allows you to connect with previous and current colleagues and is well worth it. Use the alumni tool. This allows you to find alumni or old school buddies and connect with them. Make sure you customize invites to connect and don't just use the default message LinkedIn provides. People, especially the big networkers on LinkedIn, whom you may want to connect with, get several invites a day and may not respond if they get the default message, as it shows a lack of imagination. Find a hook to use in the invite based on something you have in common, if you can. If it is someone you've been chatting with in a group, say something like, "I found the question you asked really interesting and I'd like to connect with you." Put a hyperlink to your LinkedIn sign-off in your email signature. This will encourage people to connect with you. Lastly, get the hyperlink to your LinkedIn profile added to your next run of business cards so people can find you easily on LinkedIn. As you may have heard me mention, there are 3 types of connection: first, second, and third degree. First degree are people with whom you are already connected in the LinkedIn sense. Second degree are people with whom you are not yet connected, but with whom you have a connection in common, meaning you are both connected to the same person on LinkedIn, but not yet to each other. Third degree connections are people you do not know and with whom there is currently no common connection in between, also known as outside your network. You'd be amazed at how many people there are within your network. At the last count of my 340 connections, I have more than 7,414,279 professionals in my network, people who are either first or second degree connections. As I mentioned earlier, you can use LinkedIn's homepage to post updates, which are essentially anything you want to post, whether it be a news feed or an announcement about you or your business, such as an upcoming seminar or addition to your blog. This can be effected by simply typing your desired text in the updates box on the homepage and then choosing who should get the update, whether it be to the internet and your Twitter account, if you've linked your Twitter account to LinkedIn, just the internet, or just to your LinkedIn connections. You can also just target group members, but you don't do it using the updates box on the home screen. You go to the group in question and do it there. I shall come on to groups again in a minute. Have a look at the box at the top of the screen, which is the box you post in, and the drop-down menu underneath it, which appears when you go to send a post. This allows you to select the category of persons to whom you are sending the post, then press the share button, and off it goes. Is that all clear for everybody? Yep. I'd like now to talk briefly about groups. These are very important as they are the only real way to be able to communicate genuinely with LinkedIn members who are not already connected with you and who are outside your network or second degree circle. As you heard me mention a minute ago, people outside of your second degree circle cannot be connected with using standard LinkedIn functions unless you have a premium account. And if you do, LinkedIn usually only allows you to send 5 messages a month known as in-mails. Given LinkedIn has over 225 million members and you have probably got about 5 million members in your network, that's a lot of connections you cannot currently communicate with. If you can join a group which is of interest to you and ideally has some key decision makers in it in industries which are within your sphere of operation, a group will allow you to message and ultimately connect with these connections who are out of your circle. I will now explain how best to go about this. So how do I find the people I need to connect with and the groups they are in? First, type your chosen keywords in the search box at the top of the screen, e.g. charity trustee, and click on the magnifying glass next to it. Click on the groups category in the first box in the top left-hand pane, not the one called groups further down. So it's that one there. You can see the results of doing this in the first screenshot on the left. This shows the groups available for those keywords. Those groups with a padlock against them are closed groups and need that group's moderator's approval to join. So you can see the padlock there or there. There's no padlock there, so that's an open group. That's closed. That's closed. Okay. So, and that's because all groups are being looked at the moment. We haven't drilled down yet to open groups, which I'll talk about in a minute. If you then select open groups, see the categories box on the left. So there's categories, there's open groups. LinkedIn will only show you those groups which are open and which do not require approval before you can join them. This will save you a lot of time and waiting. The right-hand screenshot shows you the results of doing that. That's what comes up. Note, if you do not select this option, you can still tell which groups are open as they will not have a padlock against the name. Choose the language as English. You can leave all ticked for the relationships section that's there, unless you only want to see people to whom you're not already connected, such as second degree connections or lower. So you could opt to see only second or third there. Check you have the correct criteria at the top of the page by looking at the grey rectangular boxes at the top of the screen. That's those there. See the screenshot on the right and your results should automatically appear. You can see in the right hand screenshot that there is one open group available to you on the topic of charity trustees, namely the Young Charity Trustees group. Is that all clear, or do you want me to do a live demonstration of that? Okay. The first thing to do once you have found some target groups is to check out whether the group is worth joining. You can do this by clicking on the View button next to the group name. We saw that on the previous slide. I'll just go back to that. So there's the View button there. So that's how you get to where we are now. I highlighted the View button, as you've just seen. Then click on More. See the More link at the top of the page. So More there. Then Group Profile in the drop-down menu. So that's highlighted grey there. This will show the group members in your network, i.e. first or second degree connections. Click on More, then Group Statistics, then Demographics and Group Statistics, to see how much of the group consists of key decision makers and where they are based. This will give you a feel for whether or not it is likely to be worth your while joining this group. If this group looks helpful to you, join it. In this group you can see there are 56 people, that's 28 partners and 28 senior, at senior or partner level, and 46% are based in London, so this looks like a good one to go for. So why post in a group? Aaron. Bob. That's his nickname. It raises your credibility in front of others. If you can be seen to show expertise and knowledge in your area of practice, and also be seen to be helping people for free, it should not take more than a few minutes of your time to send a quick message. People will remember this. They may not have any need for a solicitor right now, but when they do, they will know where to go. Secondly, it creates trust. As people read more and more of your posts, they get to trust you as they become to know about the sort of person you are by what you write. It allows you to advertise you and your firm. You can put a hyperlink to your firm profile in every message you send. Lastly, you can do due diligence on group members by looking at selected persons' profiles and before conducting hardcore networking with any of the group members. Any key decision maker looking for legal advice is an obvious target. Typical groups you should join might be any of the following: the virtual incarnation of a real-life group, e.g. the AA or your local school; industry groups, e.g. charity trustees, fundraising associations; former employers, if such a group exists for you; groups relating to businesses in which you may have previously been an employee are ideal hunting grounds, as some group members will already know you, so you will be pre-qualified and trusted; alumni groups from your school and university. Again, some people should already know you here. The more connections you have and things in common with them, the greater the chance that people might want to do business with you in the future. Using LinkedIn is like having a conversation, and you need to treat it just like that. You can use LinkedIn groups to ask questions and start a discussion. Others will generally respond, just like you would if questions were thrown out to a group you were in and on which you felt you could comment. Answer questions of other group members if you know the answer. As I've said, helping someone else is likely to lead them, or possibly someone else, helping you at some point. Use gratitude profusely. If someone does something for you or gives you some information you need, make sure you thank them. Do not spam people on LinkedIn. This is essentially sending out unsolicited requests for business to individuals with whom you've not previously had contact. It's likely to get you blocked or disconnected by people and could lead to a complaint to LinkedIn. If you've enjoyed joining groups and are keen to go the extra mile, you could always start your own group on LinkedIn. Anyone up for setting up a Stone King group, perhaps? This allows you to invite your best clients, ban your worst if they try and make negative comments about you, and look credible in both your colleagues' and clients' eyes. Keeping a group alive is key, otherwise people may decide to leave. So keep adding rich content on a regular basis, such as asking questions and posting answers to others who raise questions, posting to your blog and feeding it through to your group as and when appropriate. Have a look at slide 10 if you're not sure what I mean. That's the update slide. Posting updates are useful information to the group, but remember, LinkedIn posts won't go to group members unless those group members are also connected to you. I'd like for a moment to talk about recommendations, as Andy mentioned. These are very important as they quickly help establish trust with your connections who otherwise may not know you from Adam. The best form of recommendation is obviously one from a client, as it is independent and also provides useful information about the quality of the services you provide. The best time to get a recommendation is the day after you have finished a piece of work for a client. Write to or preferably call them and ask if they were pleased with the work you provided and wait for an answer. Keep that communication outside of LinkedIn. If they respond that they are happy, then ask them if they would mind giving you a recommendation. If they agree, ask them if they have time to write it or would they prefer you to write it for them. Use the recommendation tool on LinkedIn to automate the process, which can be found by clicking on the profile link at the top of the page, choosing Edit Profile, scrolling down to the bottom of the page to find the recommendation section and clicking on the pencil icon, where you will see the Ask to be Recommended link. You can see this in the screenshot at the bottom of the page, so there's the link. Searching on LinkedIn. I'm now going to take you through the process for searching for people on LinkedIn. This is important so you can learn how to find your target connections. Whilst the basic searching tool is straightforward enough, if you want to do some advanced searching, you need to be aware that it can be unpredictable if you're not familiar with it. Note you'll need to follow a set order in order to get the results you want. So before we start, remember who you are looking for, namely potential new clients, referral partners, and possibly competitors, to see what they are doing and whether you need to up your game as a result. You can see that if I type charity trustee into the search box at the top of the screen and press enter on the magnifying glass next to it, I get search results showing me anyone who has the words charity or trustee in their LinkedIn profile. Look at the emboldened text in the results. It's a real search. Would you like me to do it live?
Yep. Vicky doesn't say Stone King.
Well, I think the reason that is, as I'm coming on to say, is because it shows you who you're connected to first in those results. So it prioritises your connections. So we're not quite as wonderful as we thought, but we're not bad. Note the order of appearance is first degree connections, then second degree, then third. So if I were to scroll through those results page after page, you'd start to see, people outside your network. You can see this gives a lot of results, 14,871, well, in fact it's now 886. This is a bit generic, although Tom, Vicky and John appear, so that's good. So I might want to change my search to charity trustee using quotes around the expression as well. So here is the same search but using quotes around the search terms, as you can see there. This only shows profiles which have that exact expression in them. Look at the emboldened text again. So the emboldened text, there we are, charity trustee. You can now see the number of results has dropped to 925, which is most likely only showing me people who genuinely are a charity trustee, present company accepted, of course. That's straightforward enough. If I then want to drill down some more, I can either adjust the criteria by going into the relevant section of the search pane on the left, for instance, by changing the type of relationship from all LinkedIn members to just first and second degree, by changing the location to just those trustees located in the UK, which is probably a good idea in most cases. So location there. We'll come back to that in a minute. An alternative way of searching using more criteria at the outset is by using the advanced search tool. To access this, click the advanced link to the right of the search box, and there it is. I personally prefer this method as I can see all the parameters I want to search at the start and then perhaps make a few adjustments after the initial search results have appeared. Yeah.
He was none of that when he was off managing class. So
That's okay. Right. So how do we do an advanced search? Choose the type of relationship, first, second, third. I think I've done that there. Second degree connections I've chosen, so I'm not actually in this one interested in my first and those people who connected to me directly. Choose a location, e.g. the UK. So there we are down there. Choose the industry, e.g. fundraising. Choose any other criteria of interest, and don't forget to press the search button, which is actually hidden behind that grey panel. Note here, I'm not going to use any keywords. I just want to find anyone who has anything to do with fundraising. And you can see the search results which show anyone to do with fundraising. Within 10 miles of Stone King's office address, it looks like I've tweaked it there. So you can actually do further tweaks once you've got the results using the left-hand pane. Who are not your first degree connections? So I've actually picked second degree, as I said. So people you've already connected with, and you can see from the connect button that they are not my first degree connections because it would say message there if they were. In other words, I'm connected to them already. Do I want to send them a message? Because it's showing connect, it means they're not my connections. And you can see that also because it says second, second, second. So it's only showing second degree connections rather than first. If they were first, it would say first. Is that clear? Yeah. Once you've found a second degree connection you may want to connect with, you could contact a mutual connection with whom you're already connected with and ask for an introduction. There is a get introduced link by your mutual connection which will populate a message box to him or her and allow you to explain why you need an introduction. In this case, my mutual connection is Tim Jarvis, so here's the guy I need to contact if I want an introduction. I'd now like to touch briefly on alerts. Ideal prospects are those who are new to LinkedIn within your target market and therefore won't have been hounded by 1,000,001 of your competitors. You can use the alert tool to find them by running a search on search prospects, as we've seen, saving the search by clicking on the Save Search link in the top right hand corner, which is actually up there, and selecting how often you want the alert to come, for example, weekly. There you go. You can save up to 3 people alerts a week with a basic account. LinkedIn should then automatically send you a weekly email alert when a new person within your chosen criteria joins LinkedIn. I doubt it, but you'll have to ask them. Finally, having found all of these wonderful key decision makers, you may be wondering, what do I say to these people I do not know? As I mentioned before, you really don't want to be connecting with people you don't know unless you have a good reason. The best thing is to build up trusting groups by posting questions and answers in them. Once you've done that, you may feel comfortable contacting one or more of the group members who may have previously asked about things you might be able to help on. What you're trying to do is build as big a contact list as possible, who then hear regularly from you when you post updates to all your connections. More entrepreneurial of you might like to think about making what is called in marketing speak an irresistible offer, a phrase coined by Mark Joyner in his book with that title. If anyone wants to know more about that, please ask me later, or preferably buy a copy of his book. If you follow all of the above tips and tricks, I have no doubt that you will raise your profile on LinkedIn and create an ever-increasing flow of new contacts and ultimately work to your inbox. That's all, folks. If anyone's got any questions, please do let me know. I've got 340 at the moment. The most that you can see is 500. So if you've got 510, it will just say 500 plus. I mean, you should, as many as possible. The world's your oyster, really. There's no minimum number. I mean, obviously, if you've only got 10, it doesn't look like you're doing much on LinkedIn. So you should aim to be as active as possible.
You do need 50 minimum to get 100% complete profile. On the right of your profile, I have a little circle filling up as if with water. It starts off as like beginner, then goes to all star when it's 100% complete, and you do need at least 50 to get there. So no, it doesn't take long. So if you do what Brian did and link your contacts, in a couple of weeks you'll probably already be up to the 50 mark anyway.
Probably not a lot at the moment. I did get a request for a quote from someone who found me on LinkedIn by typing copyright lawyer or something, because I'd done what Andy had said. I'd put, that in my profile name. I think you'll see. I put copyright, trademark, and IT lawyer in my subtitle there, and there's already endorsements being asked of me. So will I endorse? In fact, no, these are people who've endorsed me. Sorry, so I'll just click that off. Anyway, that was showing you, but you can see I've got that. And people do find you if you get the keyword optimization right, you will be found. Because I mean, people aren't going on LinkedIn really and typing your name unless they're actually looking for you. There'll be some people will be looking to find a lawyer to do some charity work. So in fact, the description of what you do is far more important than your name, really. And as Andy said, if you can pepper that in your summary and all of that, and I've done something different to Andy. You see, I've written mine in the third person. People differ on that. You'll get marketing gurus say do it in the third person. Andy's being more personal and say do it in the first person. It's entirely up to you. I don't think it will set the world alight, or whichever you do.
You will see if you're searching by someone with a keyword, when you click on their profile, every time that keyword comes up, it's highlighted in yellow. So that's how you can see. So you know that as the trick now, that if it just comes up 25 times in yellow in 2 paragraphs, then they've just put in the word in. But if you put it in the right place, spaced out a little bit, and don't make it too obvious, it should have the desired effect.
I'll just point something out that's happened to me just now, because whilst Andy was talking, I edited my profile, and LinkedIn does a rather annoying thing. If you edit, say, your subtitle, which I just did, it thinks you've got a new job and posts an update, because I've set updates to be public whenever I make a change to my profile. It's saying I've just got a new job, and you will then start getting congratulations from people saying you've got a new job. Now, you've got two options. Either stop it doing updates whenever you edit your profile, but in fact it's quite good if whenever you change part of your profile, an update goes around, because that immediately sends a message to all your connections who get reminded about your existence. So it's a good thing. But when this happens and you need to spot it, really, just go delete, and that will remove that update from everybody's inbox. So all of a sudden that will just disappear. If they're currently looking at LinkedIn and they change something on the page, when it refreshes, that will just go, and that's what you want. And people who weren't looking at LinkedIn will never get that update.
I would say if you're doing a mass overhaul of your profile and editing a lot, to turn off the notifications just while you're doing that. Yeah. But then, as Brian said, if you keep just tweaking your update, it just reminds people that you are there. So
well, just so you know, it's really quite involved. You need to click, if you hover over your picture and then go privacy and settings, I think, and then log in. You
first option, turn off your activity broadcasts.
So your activity updates will be shared in your activity feed. If you uncheck that, let people know when you change your profile, make recommendations of other companies. As I say, I agree with Andy. Do it when you're making a mass change.
No. The notifications are only on the internal LinkedIn searches. But I mean, their websites use Google kind of apps to monitor how many times their website is viewed, but that's just going into too much complication. You probably wouldn't want to set it up and monitor it, and you'll probably have to pay as well. And one thing I will say, even if nobody asks, is Brian mentioned setting up a Stone King group. It can be quite off-putting if you think you're the only person but you can actually have 15 administrators. So you don't just have to monitor it and deal with it constantly in your personal time by yourself. You can spread out the work with everyone. So it is worth considering. No, but they will know because you haven't accepted, and they won't see you on their list. But it's not a big. They don't want to know you. You don't get any kind of notification like that, so it's not as damaging to their ego as you might think. Yeah. You are on LinkedIn. What happens is in those settings where you change your activity broadcast we just looked at, there's loads of preference settings, and any group you join will send you a weekly email, or as and when a new update comes up, or when you get a new invitation, and LinkedIn have daily kind of digest emails. You can turn them all off and have just one weekly email that will tell you who's connected. But the best way to deal with it is because if you go through your Outlook, you then have to log in, and then when you go to the next one, you have to log in. You'll see on Brian's profile there was 2 little red icons in the top red bar, and they are messages and notifications, a little envelope icon and a flag icon in red. When it's red on the flag icon, it means you've got some notifications, so someone's invited you. So just click on them, and then you can just, in the whole list of them, accept, decline in one go. Are you sure you're not on LinkedIn? Okay. It might be that other people are sending them to you, but I'll have a look at that with you if you want. I would. The reason I double checked is because I know Michael King's actually got 2 profiles which you didn't know about, and a couple of other people that Stone King have. So you might have had one set up kind of for you. So we'll have a look and check it out.